Hey YouTube, I recently published a paper and here are my thoughts on it. If for some reason you did not pay attention to the title, I'm 15 years old and I recently published my research paper to the Journal of Mathematics Research. This paper discusses a method of Pythagorean triples generation, whose link by the way will be in the description. And the purpose of this video is to walk you through how I went about making the paper from when the idea developed to the acceptance of the paper. Okay, I'm being completely honest when I say I don't know how I got the idea, but I remember that after I got the initial idea of some pattern existing in the triples that had an odd numbered side, I wrote down a lot of triples to check if my hypothesis was correct. After verifying that my idea was true, I worked on proving it. The takeaway here is to first validate your hypothesis with examples and find the exceptions if any. Working on the proof or finding the causes in the case of science research after validation is definitely the better approach. I proved my hypothesis for the odd numbered side, so what next? It is an obvious step to try and expand the impact your research is going to have. So I tried to see if this pattern follows for the even numbered side as well. While it turns out that they do not follow the same pattern, with a slight modification I established patterns for both the sets and I eventually made it applicable for the whole integer set. The point here is that you should always try to explore and expand your research even if your primary goal is achieved. There is almost always room for expansion. My research until now was on my rough notebook and with a lot of strikeouts and scribbles. So I opened up a Word document and started typing out the content. Showing the process, providing examples, and pointing out exceptions are essential components of a research paper. I also added charts to support the data and a code in Python for the generation. These small additions can make a big difference and can also help increase the overall appeal of the paper. After typing the whole thing, I started looking for journals to publish it but quickly realized that most of the journals only accept or prefer LaTeX formatted documents, which was a bummer since I already typed out everything in Word. But it had to be done and I learned LaTeX from scratch. Also, I linked a very helpful video in the description if you're just starting out on LaTeX. LaTeX is pretty similar to HTML, so any experience in that will help. I managed to convert the entire document into a LaTeX formatted one and it looked great. I now had the task of searching and selecting the journals which I want to apply to. Searching up keywords relevant to your research on Google Scholar is really useful and it can help you find journals that would be interested in selecting your content. I had around 5 journals in mind and applied to one of them, but a week later I get this from them. I understand that they're one of the most popular math journals out there and they get a lot of submissions, but they could have at least given a few lines of feedback. Leaving that behind, I applied to the second journal I shortlisted, which turned out to be the Journal of Mathematics Research. And they came back to me with some feedback and said they would accept my paper if certain corrections mentioned were done. The corrections were simple but essential ones like adding the references section and giving a proper introduction to the existing methods and ideas. After a few days, I had submitted the updated file and they accepted it. I then proceeded with the payment for the publication, which was $300. This is something I want to touch upon. Although there are plenty of free journals, the bigger and more reputed journals tend to be paid. So if you can afford it, I'd highly recommend going for the reputed and paid ones. And just like that, what started off as a small idea ended up being published as a paper in a journal. I did not start with the purpose of publishing, but it was rather a thought that developed during the journey. I hope that you found at least some parts of this video informative, and on the screen right now are the major takeaways that pretty much encapsulate the entire video. Support in the form of likes and comments are highly appreciated, and on that note, I'll see you later. Bye!